I'm Alex Del Sordo of Rower's Choice, and with me today is Shane Farmer and Mark Lukacs, and we are talking about the men's open final, an event that doesn't need any build-up, guys. So introduce yourself, Shane, please. Tell the audience who you are.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Shane Farmer. I'm founder of Dark Horse Rowing, and if there's anything that you need to understand about rowing, whether it's as a coach or as an athlete, we've got you covered.
Mark.
And I'm Mark Lukacs. I'm new to the sport. I actually learned a lot of rowing from watching Shane on YouTube. I competed, and I actually went head-to-head against one of the finalists, which is pretty cool. And I got to write about it in the New York Times, so that's pretty fun.
I think I can guess who you're rooting for then.
Yeah, there's a little bias at play in here. I'll be honest.
So this is Ali Frazier. This is Ivan Drago, Rocky Balboa. It is Captain America, Clark Dean, if you don't know who that is, and the Terminator. All right. Now we have arguably the two best rowers in our sport in today's world. Clark Dean has been rowing since he's in sixth grade. Ali Zeiler, new to the sport about 4 years ago, but a world champion single sculler. Ali Zeiler, 6'6", 225 pounds. Clark Dean, 6'4", 205 pounds. 23, 21. Shane, where is your head at in this championship today?
You have to look at the way that these two athletes came up. I mean, Ollie, a year and a half into the sport, and he was on his national team. Yeah. Whereas Clark, you've got this kid, he comes from rowing. Like, he has lived and breathed this for as long as he's known how to live and breathe. And so what you're seeing is legacy versus newcomer. You maybe have those height discrepancies. You might have those technique discrepancies. And frankly, when I watch the two techniques, it's really fun to see them back and forth because of the wildly different styles that they have between them. Man, this one's a toss-up for me. I mean, going with Ollie's the easy answer. But I like the fight. I like the fight that you can get out of Clark here. So I'm going to lean in that direction.
I like that. Mark, having competed against Ollie and having done a lot of research on this guy, I don't know, what have you seen with Clark Dean? Where are you at with this today?
Yeah, what it seems like to me is Clark's got tons of experience in the boat, right? He grew up next to a rowing area and has seen it his whole life. And I agree with Shane's take. He's like lived and breathed it forever. At the same time, though, Ollie, let's not forget, his grandfather was an Olympian. His father was a world champion and is his coach. His aunt was an Olympian. His sister's on the German national team. So he's got the legacy factor at play too. There's a lot of rowing talk going on in that house,
Yeah, and I having in America, we have been watching Clark Dean just win, and he's very quiet about it. He's going to Harvard. He's taking a year off to train with the national team. So he's out in California training. Now, there's one thing that I don't know if you guys know about this. He had his wisdom teeth removed 9 days ago.
Oh no!
So he's competing sort of like with a little bit loose legs. So Shane, you've been training for a long time and training athletes. Does this play a major factor in his competition today?
If I were to do that to somebody who was off the street and take their wisdom teeth out and then put them on a machine, yeah, they're going to feel that. He has enough base underneath him. He has enough experience underneath him at this point, this far out, unless he had dry sockets and unless he had some complications with that, I don't think that it's going to affect his performance. I think he's far enough out that you're still going to see a solid performance underneath him. And if anything, maybe there's a little bit of conservation of energy happening here where he was able to take a real good down leg into this, and maybe he's going to come with a little bit of spitfire because he feels more fresh going into it.
Mark, I'd like to get your opinion on this one.
On having wisdom teeth removed 9 days ago?
Yes.
To the lay person, I got to assume that's a little bit of a disadvantage, But I think Shane makes a decent point. Maybe he was able to rest and recover. And we all know how good you can feel if you actually take 2 or 3 days off before you jump back on the erg, right? Like you feel invincible after a few days rest. And so maybe he's got that advantage. I don't know. I wore my Rower's Choice shirt today because I decided to put my Go Ollie shirt away because I have to admit my bias here because I really got to know the guy and racing against him and researching him. But I think this is going to be an absolute nail biter, incredible race.
I'm excited, and we're going to be getting into this here in a couple seconds. So let's get ready, guys, because I got jitters. I'm nervous about this one, and I know you are too.
It's right here, bubbling right now, waiting to see what's going to happen.
Well, here we go. So, guys, as we're getting ready, we've already discussed this with the open women. What are you going through right now as you're about to start this piece, Shane? What's going through your mind and your body?
Just pure nerves, the excitement of getting it out of your system, finally getting to compete. And again, while they're not next to each other, they're just happy to be getting it done with and knowing that they're on that track, knowing that it's just this time between them and the finish, and after that they get to breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief.
So I'm watching two different techniques here, guys.
Wow, yeah, Clark went out hard.
They're going out very hard. Now Ollie is he's within himself, right? There's not a lot of length. You also notice bare feet. You see the difference between bare feet and shoes? A guy that's been rowing as long as Clark, that is a typical approach, bare feet. Mark, do you think that plays at all into this, having bare feet versus shoes on that platform?
I've seen that I forget the Australian guy who went the 5:30 something crazy on the TK. He went bare feet. I see on YouTube Eric Murray often goes bare feet. So I tried it once and I cramped up. I didn't especially like it, so I go with shoes. But I am seeing a little padding on Clark's feet. Is that to help with the strap wrap? Is that pretty common?
Yeah, it is pretty common. Dane, do you train your athletes to row with bare feet?
I've always allowed people to just go with what's comfortable, all the way from Olympic weightlifting shoes to barefoot. It's whatever works best for you, because you will see some athletes use Olympic weightlifting shoes because they like that firm platform underneath their feet. It's a bit like mimicking the hard sole of maybe like a flipless pedal or a flipless shoe that you might have on a bike, for example. I'm just watching the rating difference right now. Sorry, I got to switch gears here. I'm watching the rating difference between these two guys. It is unreal to see Clark at a 28. That's sending a little bit of a signal to me that either he came out way too hot and he's suffering for it, but that seems like a very easy answer. I think he might be feeling the effects of those wisdom teeth.
You think so? Yeah.
Right now, he's just looking a little sluggish in this.
But you just watch Ollie. Ollie does not waste energy anywhere, right? This elongated approach of hitting the front end, like that's wasted energy on an erg, right? You watch this guy, he is a metronome, 35, 36 strokes a minute, versus someone who's more of a rower, right? You're watching a rower compete on this piece, and man, Ollie is just out right now, out so far. And if you're in a boat, you have open water on this guy, you're just going to row better. It's easier to compete, and we're at 3:25 in. Mark, I mean, it's clear right now the guy that beat you is in the lead. I think he's going to take this one no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think my guess is he's run away enough with it. He also, it was what I noticed when I did a 1 minute piece against him. He's just so in control. It's when you watch him row, it looks like effortless, and he's so long, he doesn't even have that much of a layback. Although I am seeing him take a couple deep breaths every now and then, I'll be honest, I thought that for the final, his dad was going to be back there coaching him along. Maybe his dad is out of view, because that's when he's really giving his all. And here we are now, we're more than halfway into it, and he's got going on like a 80 meter.
Clark is nailing a 130 split. He's inching it down. Okay, this guy is showing poise. This right here is what I was expecting out of Clark Dean.
And again, what's so fascinating is you're seeing two wildly different techniques here. Like you said, Ollie just looks so effortless that you can't ever really see the point at which he's doing the work. Yeah. Whereas with Clark, what you're seeing is this forceful, strong stroke where you can see that he's attempting to drive power into the machine. And it's really fascinating to see that effortless looking stroke can take out that hard, powerful, rigid stroke that we're seeing out of Clark right now. It's just a fascinating review of the two against each other.
If
You know,
I
I know from talking to Ollie and the interviewing stuff, he has a 2K world record goal in mind. He wants to do that post-Olympic year. He said he's going to go all out in the Olympics, and then the following year might be the year he targets it. And so, to me, my guess is he's doing a little bit of testing here because this is obviously within the 2K times. He'll probably go over 2K with this, you know? And so I think he's still building up to that.
Are you
mindset.
watching, guys? Are you watching Clark?
He's walking his way down. Walking his way down.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ollie
now,
still hasn't come above a 128 though, so unless Clark makes some real hard pushes here, I don't know if he's gonna be able to claw that back.
Yeah.
If these two people in a boat, right? So Clark is racing for the 8s in America, and that is the standard approach for Americans. And Ollie clearly going into single. I really, really want to see these two men go at it in a single.
Oh, that'd be so
on the
cool.
water.
That'd be amazing.
Because Clark is slick smooth in a single.
There he goes.
As a
Clark's
rope.
clearly picking it up. He's down to
Yes.
128. Ollie's now holding at 128. I wonder if Ollie's going to do a kick or if he's feeling pretty. Here comes Ollie's kick. You know? The thing I would say is I feel like Ollie got tested by Isaiah Thompson. That was an amazing race when they did the 6-minute piece. And I still don't know how much I'm just wondering where his mindset is. If he's all
Just saw drop down to 125 there from Clark. He's making a move,
Clark-
guys.
now he's at
Clark's
122.
an animal.
Yeah,
Yeah, look at this finish out
with
of
25 seconds to go, that's not an easy push either.
Oh, man, there he
Holding
goes.
steady,
Look at
but he doesn't know that
47.
he's coming. He doesn't know that he's coming.
Unreal. I mean, there's an 80-meter gap between. It's not possible.
Yeah.
You can't catch up. But, you know, you got to take your hat off to Clark Dean. I mean, like, this guy's by himself in a room, and he's cranking down 122, guys. Like, that
There it
is
is.
power.
At the end, at the
amazing.
end of the piece like that,
Oh,
he's cranking down to the
God.
122s.
Wow. My stomach hurts. My stomach. I don't know.
I felt like I could see Clark throughout that piece, like right as it started, I just saw him go, I'm going against Ollie Seidler.
I know.
I know who I'm against right now. I gotta do everything that I can, but I know who I'm up against.
You know what I wish? I wish we saw the next 10 minutes. I want to see just how much this truly took out of them, because you
There
see
could
it
be
both
a
give a
points
gas.
evaluation there.
That's where it's out of a 10 scores. Like how much vomiting, how weak are the legs, how much quivering, you know?
You can't relate this to a single on the water because there was a 76-meter gap between the two racers. That is an eternity in a single. I think I would have to assume that in a single, the two of them, it would be
A closer
length,
race.
2 lengths difference, right? Because you got the guy that's been rowing forever versus the guy that's been in the new sport for the last 4 years. Guys, we just watched rowing royalty compete, and they're doing it in their basements or in their garage, and they have the ability to still crank 122s.
That's
Have you
amazing.
ever thought of that? Like, that's impressive mind strength right there. Shane, what do you think about that?
Nothing but, I mean, that's exactly how these guys are living their lives right now. You got to thrive in whatever conditions you're given. And if nothing else, rowers are good at that. And that's one of the things that why I've fallen in love with rowing and why I preach it to the rest of the world is how much resilience you can build. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now is that resilience factor play out. They're at different places in the world. These are not their normal circumstances. Maybe they're in their basement where they're comfortable or the training center where they're comfortable. But that guy's not next to them. They're having to do it on their own. And like you're saying, digging from everything up here, but more importantly, everything that's in here too.
Mm-hmm.
Mark,
To that point of resilience, you got to think about it. The Olympics were taken away. Imagine what that does to your psyche and how much temptation there is to say, forget it. I'm going to sit on my couch and watch Netflix for 6 months, you know? And instead to say, nope, I was already training. I'm going to keep pushing it even harder. That's incredible. That to me that's that mental strength to be able to say, I don't care what curveball you throw at me. I'm still going to just keep going and keep going and keep going.
I want to point something out here. We have two foreign athletes outside of the United States win the tournament. It just shows America, 4th of July, we got to pick it up. We got to get back into the game. But outside of that, we have incredible athletes around the world, and we need to tell this story more. Alina, Ollie Zeidler, the three of us watching this, we were on the edge of our seats, guys. I could watch those four athletes do this day in and day out. Shane, are you still obsessed with rowing as you were 10, 20 years ago when you started? Do you still have that energy?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't have put on the suit and tie for it today if I wasn't. I actually always hesitate to throw this thing on. I feel like it lifts my nose up a little too high when I put it on. But no, absolutely. I am 100% as in love with it as I was the first time my coach had me row a blind 6K when I knew nothing about rowing. And that this message just needs to continue to be shared. There are more and more people finding these machines. Case in point, every rowing machine is on a 8-week wait list right now.
Right.
Concept 2 sold out for the first time in their history. They literally were not making enough machines, and that was Bikerg, Skierg, and Rowerg.
Wow.
These machines are out there right now. They always have been, and it's just creating and harnessing the value of them and helping people understand what is a learned movement, not a natural movement. So everything that you're seeing, and Mark, you can attest to this, like you don't sit down on a machine and do it right the first time.
Mm-hmm.
There's some guidance that comes in there, and that's been the natural hurdle up to this point. So as soon as we can drop that hurdle, we can make it a little bit easier to get on the machine in your basement, and you can find some happiness there. So 100%, I'm still in this camp.
Mark, I got to ask you, buddy, you're new to the sport. You're an indoor rower, and you just watched Olympic level athletes in our sport, the best that we had to offer. What's your future in rowing look like for you?
For me?
Yes.
I just want to, before I go back to school teaching in the fall, I got to sit down and go for a 2K PR. And I'm already scared. I have 2 months and I'm dreading it already, but I am going to now they say in religion, there's no evangelist like a convert. I am a full blown enthusiastic convert to the sport. I'm going to start watching live streams. I'm going to watch the Henley old videos that are going to be playing all weekend. I'm going to watch the world champions and all the European. I'm in hook, line, and sinker. I'll be rowing on my own, but I'm going to be watching these guys and just continue to be enthusiastic and impressed with what they're doing. And the other thing too is Ollie was a swimmer. Imagine all the athletes that are out there that are stumbling their way into this because it's something they can do right now, and how much the sport can grow, and how many more world-class athletes who may have been playing baseball or basketball or swimming or something like that, and all of a sudden they find rowing, and we have this whole new caliber of talent out there. That's what I'm really hoping happens for the sport.
Speaking of which, Mark, when are we going to see you get in a boat?
I have a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old, so my guess is probably in a decade. Okay. But it's coming at some point.
Well, how can you end it any better than that? For all of you watching, Ollie Zeidler taking first place, winning the grand prize, and then in a very close second, to be honest, a very close second, is Clark Dean. We'll be announcing the other third place finishes for the men's and women's Open championships later in the week. Thanks for watching the event.